Greetings, greetings, and happy Father's Day to all you dads. Personally, if I'm good at anything, I'm good at making estrogen. That's right. Uncle Vigilante has 4 daughters. So that's why I titled today's live stream as an epic Father's Day, for a couple of different reasons that you'll figure out later. But first of all, I want to let you know that, when you wake up and you have a Father's Day cup of coffee, some bacon and eggs that your lovely wife cooked, and then you have some Father's Day cards on the table and a little Father's Day bag. And when you open up the bag from one of your daughters and it says this, I'm an adult, but not like that kind of an adult. It just gets your Father's Day started off on the right foot, because my daughters get me. My daughters get me. They know that I think I'm a fun dad. I think if you interviewed my daughters, they deem me a fun dad. But this live stream was 1,000% non-intentional. I was not going to live stream at all today, but I want to use this live stream as a lesson to starting ugly. And what does that mean? Well, because it's Father's Day, I want to rewind lots and lots of years. And I remember my 2.5-year-old daughter, Alexandra, early on in her life, she just kind of was one of these kids that just was so artistic. And I have something that I will treasure forever. And I say starting ugly because what I'm going to show you, you could say started ugly. It was just this, I was thinking 2.5, she was not 2.5, she was almost 3. And I still remember we got her this little art kit. And it was one of these that had, that basically you had this little device that you would scratch on it and it would reveal different colors. And so she did that. And at first it just looked like a 2.5, 3-year-old going like this. And it was like, okay, don't know what that is, but I'm pretty sure I'll frame it. I'm that kind of dad. I'm very proud of my daughters. But I want to show you, while she started ugly, this is seriously, guys, put a gun to my head. I'll give you my little fireproof bag with my treasure in it and all of my, financial wealth. But you try to take this and, you mess with the bull, you get the horns. But this is what my daughter, can you see that? That's what let's call her 3-year-old. That's what she ended up with. So she started, and this thing did not look like that. But at the end, it was this beautiful plant with 3 flowers, 2 leaves, clouds. I'm telling you, this is what makes Father's Day special to me. But I reference it because of it's an epic Father's Day that started kind of ugly at noon. It is 12:21 right now. At noon, as you know, this last couple of weeks, I've been conducting SHITCOIN Trials. And, one of those people who came on was Max Freeman from EPIC, or EPIC Cash. And I ended up having him a couple of times. He impressed me so much. They had made a video on how do you buy EPIC, and I posted it because I had lots of people inquiring on how to do that. So they had an initial video that I kind of followed when I first invested, and it kind of sucked. So I challenged them. Look, you got to dumb it down so that it's really easy for a guy like me. And they did. They took the challenge. And the next day they came up with the video that you'll be able to find down below. Well, I have gone through all of my research on what is a shitcoin, how you identify a shitcoin, and I arrived at questions, and I put people on trial over the last couple of weeks. So those of you who follow me have followed those. And there are I love my privacy coins. And so Max Freeman reached out to me and he said, "Hey, look, I really respect the fact you had me on. I get a lot of people asking me to come on. And I respected how you handled me and asked really good questions." He said, "But I want to turn the tables on you. And I would like to talk to you and talk to you about your experience. What did you learn through the process? Because I'm not the only one that you interviewed." And I'm like, "Sure, man, no worries. I'll come on." And Max said, "I'd like to do Clubhouse. It's very powerful from what I understand. Spirit of full disclosure, Max said that he's just learning it as well. So I downloaded the app this morning and tried to figure it out. And when we went live at noon, neither of us really knew what we were doing. And we couldn't figure out how to record. So anyway, that is starting ugly. So what do you do when you start ugly? And if something doesn't work, well, you take back, you zoom out and you say, "Okay, let's take a deep breath. We're not going to call this defeat. We'll figure it out over the next week." Because Max was saying, "Hey, what are your thoughts about having a conversation once a week at noon on Sundays in Clubhouse, to where we can just talk about the week in crypto? I can give you a report on what's happening with EPIC Cash. And I know that's interesting to you as a coin holder in us." And I said, "That's interesting to me because I'd really like to follow along with the tech decisions that you're making. If you can give us any peeks around the corner, that'd be kind of cool." So I said, I'm in. I'll do that. I love talking crypto to anyone, anytime. And so in the future, if you're a Clubhouse, if you've downloaded Clubhouse and you know how to use the app, every week at noon, there's going to be, I think you said you wanted it to be Epicenter Live, hosted by Uncle V on Clubhouse. I'm happy to be the host, even though it's going to be your movie, Max. But the purpose of today was you wanted to interview me. So that is a hell of a lot longer introduction than you probably anticipated. But it is an epic Father's Day. I did want to talk about my awesome 4 girls. And at this point in time, it's your movie. This should be on Clubhouse, but it's on the Uncle Vigilante channel. And I see we already have some folks in the chat. So hello, everyone. Love you. All right, Max, it's your movie.
All right. Well, you ended up flipping, but you started off kind of hostile with the whole shitcoin thing. So since one good turn deserves another, I'm going to get right into it and shine the microscope on you. So it has been about 2 years now in this journey with what is now Epicenter DAO. The first piece of that, of course, is the EPIC protocol, or the EPIC Cash piece. And on a weekly basis, if not daily, something crosses my radar screen. "Hey, I'm with such and such channel or media outlet or whatever. We love what you're doing. We'd love to have you on. Come and talk about it and this and that." And I say, "Okay, great." And then they go, "Here's the price list." And that's where it breaks down, because we have a business model or an operating philosophy, I guess you could say, since we're not a business, that we don't pay to play. And so that's been kind of one of the criticisms, I think, of our approach, is that to the surface considerer, it looks like there's nothing going on here because the noise level isn't the same as other networks that are out there, and it seems like we don't care about it. Well, no, we just care so deeply about getting our message across in the right way that we're not willing to play the game the same way as everybody else, just to get the results. The zoo of Bitcoin 2021, with grown adults up on stage trying to outdo themselves for antics, was a fun time. I was there, but I'm not sure it's necessarily the best look for people that aren't already in the church of Bitcoin. And so I generally personally take a very dim view of people in the space that look for emerging new coins, because generally the business model of these channels is to promote them and then dump on their followers and hope that you make enough money through that process to make it worth burning your reputation and having all the angry people. If you FOMO into the wrong shitcoin and you don't get out before it all falls apart, it's all fun and games until somebody loses an eye. And so, all right, Mr. Shitcoin Pumper, tell me why you're not that breed of cat and how what you're trying to do here is different than what is the standard in the industry.
Well, wow. All right. How should I appropriately answer that? I've never been called a shitcoin pumper, but I will, let me start at the genesis. It's like, first of all, everybody knows my moniker. I don't know shit. I give the disclaimer, at least on anything that I upload, that I can put my 1 minute and 9 disclaimer, that I don't know shit. But I really don't. I'm just, I'm a jag, man, just a guy. Just a guy who is only recently into crypto since January. And man, you know, I've learned a ton over the last year. And as part of being a newbie and not knowing everything and not having any experience at all, let alone any rich experience, you start hearing lots of things about lots of different coins that people, you know, have gotten into themselves. And so, you know, I tried to do my due diligence. People know I got into XRP from the beginning just because some guy told me I should. And then I started my own educational journey and ended up stumbling upon the Dollar Vigilante and the Crypto Vigilante and subscribed to both of those. I subscribed to Mike Newton's Moonstream, which is really fantastic. I'm a big fan. I subscribed to Weiss Ratings, which is the first one that I subscribed to. And unfortunately for Weiss Ratings, as good as they are, and I will say right now that I am a fan of them, I don't regret the investment. But as good as they are, very quickly after I subscribed, they started hammering me with all of these upsells, and it pissed me off. And I actually reached out to them and let them know. And I canceled my lifetime subscription back to just a 1-year subscription because I'm like, this feels very fake left, go right. And I don't like it. And so they agreed to let me off the hook for basically half of my investment. And but funny thing is, next year I think I'll probably up it again because their service has been, if you just focus on the actual newsletter, it has been so rock solid. They were the only ones out there who basically, you know, at the time that like a few days before Elon Musk went on Saturday Night Live, and go back and look at the markets, they said get everything to stablecoin, everything. And so I didn't do that. And so I got hurt like everybody else, but I will remember that for future reference. So I have simply been letting other people do my thinking for me. And then I ended up having a friend tell me to invest in a coin that I'm not going to say because I don't want to create any enemies out there. And I don't want to stir up any shit, frankly. Had suggested, you know, you need to invest in X and have someone from X on. And it's one of these long-term staking things. And I'm looking at the charts and I'm like, oh man, I got to do that. So I invested a fair bit in it, and I'm like, I trust this guy who told me this. I mean, he's a good dude, not just a good dude, a great dude, and he's heavily invested. And so I did, and I, without any reservation, had someone representing or X on that call. And hold on one second. And I'm sorry, but my wife knows. I'm sorry. She knows that I'm on, and she keeps texting me, but it's not an emergency. So I had him on, and then and I've actually shared it out loud before, but I trust the crypto vigilante a ton. And he reached out to me and he says, "Hey man, stop pumping shit coins." And like in an admonishing way. And he said something that forever will impact me. It impacted me, and it forever will stay with me, which is, you're going to hurt people. And so I'm like, to me, that's a heavy burden, because, I try to be a good steward of information, and I try to be just let everyone follow my journey. But, at that point in time, I think I had 1,500 subscribers, and, I guess that's not insignificant. And if there's even a half a handful that got hurt because of something I said, I take that seriously, and it bothered me. It really bothered me. And so I decided that, okay, you know what? I'm going to stop letting everybody do my own thinking for me. Even if it's Raphael from the Crypto Vigilante, or their service, or Weiss Rating Service, or Mike Newton, or my best friend, or, you. I'm going to start exercising the muscle of thinking for myself. And so that's when I decided, and I love my privacy coins, as much as I don't really know about what goes on underneath the hood of privacy coins and the technology behind it. But I was determined. I was determined to learn. And so I started doing my own research of what do you look for in investable coins? And I did a lot of research, and I found that as I continued to find channels that would address this, and I listened to them and I took my own notes, that it kind of came down to being able to find out, what is the utility or purpose? If there is no utility or purpose in this, coin, likely a shit coin, likely a short-term, even a meme coin, not throwing shade at Doge, but started as a joke meme coin. It went up with the help of a major influencer out there. Think know who I mean? No, I'm not even going to say. On my cigar walks, I talk about this person. So what is utility or purpose? What problem does it solve? I really want to understand that, and I want to take a deep dive into that. If it is a token that is associated with a blockchain, I want to know, what added utility does the token have to the blockchain? 1 + 1 = 11 versus 2. I'm not going to go deep dive into that, but that's one of the things that I think about. What is the marketing behind this project? Because ultimately it's about widespread adoption. If you don't have good marketing on a project, then if you're not evangelizing it somehow, if you're not effectively out there talking to people about the problem that it solves, then, I don't find that to be an investable coin. And then you start looking at things like the supply control, the market cap, the liquidity. Was there a pre-mine? Was there any capital raised by investor? And if so, what were the terms? Because again, you're kind of wanting to look for, if there is this built up pent in, early investors in, and the key is to ultimately get this coin to just pump, be that moon coin that we all want, so that those early people in can just dump, and all of the people who got in based upon false promises because they didn't do their own thinking, and it just became the latest hottest thing on Instagram or Twitter or whatever social media out there. Those people, when the early people in dump on their asses on purpose with intent, because that's why they got in, boom, that's why there's the term left holding the bag. You're left holding the bag of useless coins. So I also want to know, was there a business entity established to monetize the protocol? Again, goes to the same thing. And then if there is a team behind it, I'd like to know, is there a lockup period with those coins? If there's a lockup period of those coins, then that makes me feel a little more comfortable, again, because you're just it's like back when I was part of our company. My boss co-founded Priceline.com, and that was incubated within our company, and I was part of I got options as kind of a founding member of that, but there was a lockup period on that. And, they do that on purpose so that people early in don't just dump on the investors, that after it becomes public, you give price discovery an opportunity to get settled before you're able to sell. So I want to know that. And then there was two more things. One more, community. I want to know about the community, because what I found is like with Arrr, with Pirate Chain, that's one hell of a community. Monero, that's one hell of a community. I mean, you're talking about years and years and years of developers and coin holders who've leaned in, who've added value, who added energy to the project. And so to me, that becomes very, very important. If there's not much of a community out there, likely a shitcoin. So, and then the other thing is, where do you buy it? And is there an opportunity to be able to sell it? What are the exchanges that you're on? There are some exchanges that you know better than most, Max, that have been open for business. They'll take your coins in, but then you can never get them off. So again, all of those questions I wanted to know, and I decided I'm going to conduct SHITCOIN trials. And if anybody out there, and I particularly focused it on the privacy coin community, if anybody out there wants to come on my show, you reach out and you know how to reach me. I have all my contact information in the show notes below. And lo and behold, I had four different privacy companies reach out to me, and you were one of them, proactively, and I had you on. Now, for you, I had you on once, and I will tell you the other thing that I look for, and this is just me in life. This is me in life. I have a lot of business experience, and you show me somebody who is unconsciously competent, and I'll show you somebody I can get behind. And not to just, blow smoke, where, Max, but when I talked to you, there just was not one single question that I asked you that you didn't have not only a great answer, but you had an answer that for me was very helpful, because you kind of have the gift of speaking in pictures and drawing analogies so that I can understand it. Maybe you just figured out you have high EQ and you know that I need to be spoken to that way, or not. Maybe that just comes naturally. But I find you, and I met with you, and I find you to be an unconsciously competent individual, and you have an amazing vision for this project. So EPIC is not a shitcoin. I have already declared that. I like it. It's rapidly becoming, because I am every paycheck, I'm dollar cost averaging in, and I just did again. And so I'm a fan. Now, I'm a huge fan of Arrr and Monero. And if you've watched any of my recent videos, I have the vision of of uniting the tribes and encouraging everyone to not point the rifles at each other's and your inadequacies, but instead educating us on why did you make this decision in your tech build out than that one. And I'm sure, as I'm learning, is you can make a decision that impacts something, like you're playing chess, 4 moves ahead. And I respect that. I respect all of those decisions. And it means that if you make X decision, that doesn't mean that you suck or that you're bad because it wasn't what we did. And so I don't know. That was a long-winded answer of, I hope I answered it correctly, but I am not a, what did you call me? I can't even remember.
Thank you for those kind words, but I'm not ready to lay down my rifle quite yet. I got some more for you based on the stern talking to you gave me the last time. So I can't let you off that easy. Do you accept compensation from projects for coverage?
Oh, hell no. No.
Okay.
Nor have I ever sold a single coin that I have invested in other than Bitcoin, which I have exchanged. I needed Bitcoin to exchange for coins I want in my portfolio. I've not sold one damn coin. And because I have learned that those who trade get wrecked. I've learned that I'm definitely not smart enough to try to be able to identify the highs and the lows. And, I'm not really a fan of paying 30% taxes. And if you hold a coin for at least a year, you're going to pay long-term capital gain taxes on it, should you choose to sell. But I'm a hodler, and I joke, I do not tolerate sponsors. There's nobody sponsors my show. I'm not that important. I only have 2,400, 2,500 subscribers. So me promoting something isn't going to move the needle, Max. Sorry.
Well, I don't know. You've had some giant green candles lately on some of your calls, so good on you there. I guess for me,
can I tell you why I think maybe that's the case?
Tell me.
I'm just being candid. I think there are a tremendous amount of Arrr holders who went all in on that. And I think that the reason why our price has come down lately is because you have the TDV pick that's going to come out tomorrow. And so I think what's happening is you have a lot of people speculating on which, thinking it may be a privacy coin and speculating on those. And so they're getting their early investments in, hoping that that's the coin. And so I think that's short-term harmed Arrr. So I'm not a fan of that. But I understand the psychology of that because people are naturally greedy and they want to be the ones that are on the bottom and maybe not looking at a value investment, but just a monetary investment to try to, okay, when that letter goes out and it goes 3X, I'm going to dump or whatever it is. But I think that everybody that I've had on the show, they've experienced green candles, but I don't know if that's going to persist in the spirit of full disclosure. I'm trusting.
Hopefully we can. Yeah, good answers. By the way, I just sent you a link through Telegram. I think for me, you're doing everything right, and you'll find quite a bit of success with your approach. Maybe not as incandescent and explosive as some of the other edgier business models, but those are more here today, gone tomorrow. So yours is probably sustainable. But I think what'll keep.
What is my business model? Because that's it would be new.
Like you're building something to last and focused on sustainability and building an authentic.
My personal portfolio.
Well, I mean, not just that, but your approach to building the Uncle V channel and the community around it and the relationship with your audience. You're trying to be a trusted uncle that would never steer someone wrong and learn by doing and lead by example and all that that good stuff. So I'm happy to be supportive, continue to be supportive. I think the number one hot button issue that I would caution you against to be aware of is just when I see people promoting stuff, I always go, okay, do as I say, not as I do. If you're selling when you're telling others to buy, that crosses the line for me personally. And so, you know, whether you tell people when you sell an asset or lighten up is up to you. But when somebody is saying go buy this at the same time that they're selling, okay, that's what in the economics textbooks they call an agency problem, or a misalignment of interest. And so I think your approach is a solid one with a lot of legs.
Well, I hope so. And again, nothing that I've done has been you know, part of a business plan. It's just been, it is what it is. I joke that, you know, my channel's like a box of chocolates. You're just never going to know what you're going to get when I live stream or what. This last couple of weeks, so it's just been very important for me people had reached out to me. So I wanted to be honorable to them and get them on, and you know, some impressed me more than others, but I haven't said it boo about it. It's like people can watch and make their own decisions for themselves. I just tried to be a platform that would deliver some people and, you know, ask questions and, you know, encourage others to exercise their muscle of thinking for yourself as well. Now you sent me this. What do you want to show me?
Pull that up on the screen, would you? And then I want to pull up something else here.
It's on.
Okay, convert the chart to max and then BTC terms. I want to pull up.
I'm not a chart dude, so I have no idea how to convert anything to max. Are you saying BC?
Okay, sorry, let me pull it up. I was multitasking in the other window. Hold on. All right, so EPIC
Main is checked. Is that what you want me to check to BTC?
Okay, so next to main, so uncheck main and click check BTC.
Uh-huh.
And then change the time frame from 24 hours to max.
Okay.
So what that will show you is the history of that asset since inception. And, you know, I love Arrr, and I have a lot of great connections over there and a lot of cross-pollination between our community. So nothing I'm saying should be interpreted as throwing shade in any way, but I want to reference how one of the most legendary investors of our time thinks about these types of markets and what he said to maybe help people navigate what might be going on here. So looks like you still don't have it quite right. You got to change the 24-hour to max. See how it says 24-hour, 7-day, 14-day, and so on? It's all the way to the right.
Yeah, I've clicked on max. See, let me go back to 24-hour again. There's 24. Now to the right one here, it says max. I clicked max. So it goes all the way back.
Oh, okay. Yeah, my screen just wasn't updating. Okay, perfect. All right. So there is a quote from Michael Burry. Let me actually send it to you in the channel. 1 second.
You're going to go Telegram? Do it in Telegram.
Yes. Just give me 1 second.
So I'm thinking. See, this is what I think. This is what scares me about the TDV picks is, you know, man.
Well, hold on. We don't have to figure this out ourselves because, or we can figure it out for ourselves with the help of legendary people who have made hundreds of millions or billions by applying their acumen to the rough and tumble markets. And so let's see what Michael Burry has to say about where we are and how it might apply to this. I sent you the image through Telegram. Let me know when you got it.
Okay, bear with me. Let me stop screen share here. And let's go to screen share here. Okay, I got it. all hype speculation is doing is drawing in retail before the mother of all crashes. Hashtag FOMO. Parabolas don't resolve sideways. When crypto,
That's the key. Hold on, I'm sorry. That's the key one. Let's put that up on the screen.
it is.
Parabolas, FOMO parabolas don't resolve sideways. So if you look in BTC terms since the beginning of time, let's go back to our
Yep.
chart.
Okay, hold on. I think I see where you're heading. I think I'm starting to figure some of the. Thank you for telling me how to. And what was that? That was on Coingecko. Okay. So going back to.
And for those listening, this channel, it's called the Money GPS. The guy's great. That's where I got this from.
Okay. All right, it's back up. So FOMO parabolas don't resolve sideways. So I see there's a story in the charts right now of R resolving sideways.
It's not coming up on the screen, so let's put it back up. There we go. Okay, so on CoinGecko, you can move your mouse over the price line, and let's look at where it was in mid-March. Let's say before the liftoff. I can't see on the screen, but
okay.
We know we hit $16 recently. Where was it before liftoff? Before the world discovered
it's hard for me to say because I don't speak Satoshi. But okay. It's like, let's say 592 with a lot of zeros in front of it, Satoshi, which went up to, you
can just click the main box and it overlays it, and then it'll show both.
What do you mean click the main box?
So you click, remember in the beginning when you had to click BTC and you had to click off main? If you click main.
Yeah. Okay. Good. So there's both in there. So,
okay, so right before liftoff, we were at 30 cents. And so 30 cents.
Hold on. Hold on.
Sorry, go ahead.
I just want to say that I think the TCV newsletter recommended it like 8 cents. So maybe they recommended it here, and then it did go up. It did go up to like 16 cents, so 2x, and then it kind of settled down. And then what in the hell happened here to where it just went crazy? It went up to, this shows the max at 1304. I think it went higher than that. So I don't know what this is pulling from, but that was pretty amazing. And right now it's
to go from 30 cents to $16 in 2 weeks, 500x in 2 weeks. I didn't really know about this asset until it all of a sudden was everywhere. And I noticed that the people who were buying in at that $15 level didn't do the math apparently, or at least I don't think they did, to say, well, wait a minute, I'm paying $2.4 billion for this network. Okay, let's say 2.4 billion is a great price, but if your expectation is to make 1000x, it has to go to 2.4 trillion. And so if you're buying into something that has a 500x behind it, particularly in the day or week before you got there, perhaps it's time to slow down and make sure that you don't get smacked for your enthusiasm, especially if you use up all your powder and then there's a retrace and you don't have an opportunity to add to your position and dollar cost average down. You're really less.
But here's the thing. Right. Here's the thing is, and I guess what I would appreciate as a newbie, I wish I was informed of this is how things usually goes, guys. But kind of the narrative is this, this coin is so special, it's going to be $20, $25. Heck, it could be at, if you compare it to Monero, or if you compare it to Zcash, because it's way better than Zcash. This coin should be, when you factor in everything, at $28 for sure. And I think that was the hopium we were all looking at there. And I think long term, all of that's going to get there. But what I have learned from this is a tree doesn't grow to the sky for sure. And there's always going to be a retrace. So, dry powder is probably the most important asset to have in all of these markets. That's kind of been my lesson learned. Am I right?
Yeah, and something that'll save people a tremendous amount of pain financially and heartache is all stable coins are not equal. If you don't understand the difference between USDT, USDC, DAI, and others, you should really invest
Why don't you
in the.
educate us here, because you've told me this before, and I got out of
Okay.
my Tether.
Sure. So Tether, the number one stable coin, about 60 billion by market cap, is a first generation stable coin concept where when it first came out, the value proposition was send us Tether Limited $1 worth of fiat cash to our bank account, and we will give you one Tether token. And then when you want your cash back, you can send us a Tether token and we'll send you the dollars. And in the meantime, we're going to keep all these dollars in a bank account, nice and safe and secure, to make sure that nobody's got their hands in the cookie jar and that everything is safe. Now, that turned out not to be safe. They've never produced an audit. And the last time that the numbers came out, it turned out there was somewhere between 2 and 4 cents actual cash on the balance sheet and a bunch of iffy bankster type of stuff elsewhere. If and when Tether has a hiccup, people that hold it are going to have a very bad day because the cash isn't there to back it. Now, if you want a fiat-backed stablecoin that is actually trustworthy and can't blow up in that way, there's one called USDC, or US Dollar Circle, which is from the people at Coinbase. And I think Goldman Sachs may have had their fingers in the pie. So I imagine most of the audience here would that would exclude Circle from consideration. A better option is to use one called DAI, DAI, from a DAO project on Ethereum called Maker. And an interesting part about DAI is that there is no fiat cash involved. The system works based on posted Ether locked into smart contracts as collateral to back the emission of the DAI stablecoin. And so if there's no fiat to back it, how can it work? Well, it's the value of the Ether and the market mechanism and people trusting in the smart contracts. So DAI usually trades at quite a significant premium to those other stable coins, which makes sense because it doesn't have the risks involved. And so just, again, different tools for different purpose. DAI is not available everywhere. But really, the pro move on having cash in the sidelines is not in dollar-denominated assets, which, after all, are being diluted through currency creation at the Federal Reserve level to the tune of approximately 2 to 3% per month is the going rate. You don't have that give up if you're sitting in gold on the sidelines, and you don't have to actually have a lump of physical metal in the floorboards in your basement anymore, because there's a token called CGT on Ethereum, Cash Gold Token, run by a regulated, well-respected entity out of Singapore, where the key feature is you can actually demand your gold at any time. And because of that, the value of the token tends to track the gold price 1 gram per token. So last I checked, about $60, pretty well. So you're protecting yourself against the erosion in value of the base currency, which for most people is the dollar, to the extent that the gold bugs are right and that there's a revaluation in order, which historically happens during times of monetary chaos, then gold is a good place to be. And the history of crypto shows, even in BTC, that there's wild pumps and then vicious retraces, going down by half, 60%, 70%, 80%. Even on these younger, more volatile assets, 90% is not unheard of. In our journey in EPIC, we've had 80, 90% crashes, probably 4 or 5 times at this point. Now, not overnight, but as we saw recently, a single buyer coming in, somebody got very excited recently about EPIC and bought a couple $100,000 worth, a couple 100,000 coins, which wasn't a lot of dollar value, but it was enough to briefly triple the price. And so when you get into supply constraints, it can be explosive. But I think why I like your approach, unlike a lot of the other content creators, is that you focus on the education and teaching people how to fish rather than just giving them fish. Like, here's a hot trading tip. You go buy it, you make some money, and then you pay for my subscription. Or you teach them to think for themselves. They don't need to buy your subscription, and they have the skills to do their own work.
With the CGT, I don't believe I've ever seen that as if I wanted to trade out of my Bitcoin, let's say, let's say it magically went to $100,000 this week, and I'm like, that's not going to stick around. Where would you find that trading pair to go from BTC to CGT?
So I just sent it to you on Telegram.
Okay.
So the best place is Uniswap. So basically, you would just convert from BTC to ETH. That's easy to do on pretty much every platform. And then send your ETH over to Uniswap.
Let me get it up here first.
All right.
Okay. So now, you say that's pretty easy on Uniswap. As a newbie, and I've been kind of somebody walked me through Uniswap to get one of my coins, but they kind of did it on the phone with me. So I presume there's some really good YouTube channels or YouTube tutorials out there on how
Hundreds,
yeah,
absolutely.
Uniswap. But you're saying that you first need to, like if I had Bitcoin, I'd first need to, through Uniswap, convert that Bitcoin to Ether?
No, so you need to convert BTC, which is not Bitcoin. You convert BTC to Ether, and then use that Ether on Uniswap to exchange the ETH for CGT. Those are the steps in the process. Step 1, convert BTC to ETH. Step 2, convert ETH to CGT.
Got it. On Uniswap.
Mm-hmm.
On Uniswap. And when I do, then that. So, and here's something. Here's an uncle tip for everyone out there. When you see something like this, like CGT, I can tell you right after I get off the phone or off this call, I will go to my my tracking apps, Blockfolio and CoinMarketCap. And I always load all my coins the same amount in all of those. In my main portfolio on each of them, I will now add CGT, and I'll go down, and when it gives you the quantity, I'll put like 0.01. And so it just comes up as a trace, but it allows me to just keep looking at that. And if I see it every day, and I kind of go through the discipline on those coins, or if somebody says you should get into this, or it's a coin that's starting to be popular, I want to kind of study it. And so I'll just go put it in my main portfolio that I know I'm going to reference a few times a day, just so that I can track the price. I can look at the charts. And that's another form of education that's not costing me any money. I'm not investing in the coin. I'm just putting it in the app.
That's a great tip, and another mental model that would be useful for people to understand in these chaotic times where true value lies is to, I think about these markets as a triangle. You've got the fiat on one side, let's call that the dollar. You've got precious metals, let's call that gold on the other side. And then you've got crypto, let's call that BTC on the other side. And so just as we reframed the R chart into Satoshis to see what was going on. If you look only in dollars, everything looks like a hockey stick. If you look at the history of Dogecoin as an example, which I recommend everybody do because it has a super long history, you look at it in dollars and it just looks like an exponential up and to the right, poof, and it's gone kind of thing. But if you rezone it to BTC terms, you can see it's like a sawtooth pattern of it pumps, and then because it has no utility aside from being a speculative thing, it kind of settles back down, and then it doesn't die, but it bumbles along, and then it catches a breath of wind again and pumps, and the cycle repeats anew. I know an old Dogecoin whale. Like he just pinged me today. I was like, hey, I know you were early in that. Are you in the Trace Commas Club now? And he's like, no, but I'm a good 2/3 of the way through thanks to Dogecoin. I love Elon. So you FOMO into that stuff, you're on the wrong side of somebody that's been there for a decade and waiting for you to stumble into the casino with too many drinks in you, and then you end up leaving without your wallet.
Trace commas. I've never heard that, but
never. Oh.
Trace commas. There's a YouTube channel out there, the Uncle Trace. No, that'll never happen for me. All right, big boy, do let you know what you did for R. Let's send me another link for EPIC. Let's look at you. Let's look under your.
Yeah.
I know somebody's gonna ask.
Pot called. You know, should we take some audience questions too? I noticed we had a live stream going.
I'll
pull it up. Let's have some fun.
Let's do. I'm going to drop an invite into the chat, and if anybody wants to come in, what I don't want you to do, hear me on this. I don't want you to just want to click on the link and come in to listen. Please don't. And when you do come in, make sure you're muted, and I will let you in, and come in and ask the question or whatever, and then mute, and we'll engage that way. But I did one of these one time, and it just became a cluster because a bunch of people just, came in, and you could hear, dogs barking in the background, and anyway. So just be mindful of that. Okay, let's go to copy invite link, and before I hit paste, before we do that, I want to go through this first. Before I do that, let's look at your chart.
All right, I'm just highlighting some stuff on there, so give me 1 second and we'll have it.
Oh, you haven't done it yet?
Yeah, just give me 1 sec.
All right, because I want to see that same chart. And I still don't think you answered the question of, FOMO doesn't retrace sideways. I guess I never got an answer of what does that mean exactly. I saw
okay, so Michael Burry, in the context of the broader market, is saying that when you have these exponential blow-offs, historically they look like parabolas, and then the inverse on the other side. It's like you fold a paper. The explosive upsurge is mirrored by the falling apart, and then the steady erosion of value. Now, if there's something sustainable there, and I can show you a number of charts, I'll send that through after I finish this here. We can look at ones that I had some personal knowledge of from watching their charts in my Coingecko on the last boom, and I saw who made money and who lost money, and how that all worked out. And it helps to see with those type of eyes when you see the everything old is new again, same type of stuff in these market cycles. So let me just finish this and send it. Actually, you know what? That looks like my artistic skills are terrible. So I'm going to try this one more time, and I'll just talk you through it.
All right. So I'm looking at Coingecko right now. EPIC Cash, 46 cents. I have no idea how you find the charts.
Yeah, let me just send that through. One moment.
Oh, here's
Okay.
where you
Okay,
can
I
go.
just sent it as an image. There we go. So
Okay.
let's pull that one up.
Download, show and Finder. All right. There we go. Pull that up. And
Pull up the image that I sent you through
yeah,
Telegram.
bear with me. Now let me go here to share screen. Do I have it? It may take a while. If you're looking at the YouTube channel, there's always
I'm on the YouTube. Okay, that must be why. Okay, I'm just gonna look on my other device here so I can talk through it without delay. All right, so what do we see here? So the yellow is BTC denominated and blue is dollar denominated. And so let's start with I guess, okay, let's start with that weird flat line in between end of, what would that be? End of March and about a month later when it was just flatlined. So like BTC in 2010, we had something called a range overflow incident, which despite peer review and multiple audits of the various code sections, there was an exploit that was overlooked, and it was used to essentially fool the main exchange wallet, which is VTEX, into accepting a deposit of coins that it shouldn't have accepted. And essentially the attacker was able to sell 8 months worth of mining production into the market overnight that they had created at zero cost. And so of course, any price is a good price when you're a hacker just looking to get your money out. And so everything was going great. As you can see, that giant blue spike on the chart at the end of March there, up to an all-time high over $1, which was pretty crazy considering that it was 1 cent a year earlier. And then through that process, it eroded down to 4 cents before trading was halted. And we've got a mechanism in place to compensate all of those people in working with the exchange VTEX through the DAO. So that was a way to turn an L into a W with a creative win that didn't compromise or a creative solution that didn't compromise the design integrity. For example, if you go back in history, the Ethereum and ETH Classic split, that rift was created over the response to something like this involving the DAO in 2016 that happened in their world, where a splinter faction or a large enough group of people that didn't believe that was the way to go said, no, we're going to keep the original vision of Ethereum and call it ETH Classic. And so
did it show up?
Which
am I even sharing this?
I can see it on the Zoom on my phone.
It said stop screen share, and then it said it was paused. So let me just make sure.
I can see it.
You can see it. Okay.
Not on YouTube, but
it just concerned me because usually when I'm sharing, it's outlined in green with Zoom, and it stopped that. So it said I paused something. So maybe, okay, sorry. All right. So in Uncle V language, you basically were hacked and your code was hacked and compromised. And
we fixed it. And
some bad guy came in, but you had mentioned that you had been audited. So isn't that the purpose of audits, for people to kick the tires and make sure that you're, I mean, how in the hell can this happen after an audit?
Have you ever used Microsoft Windows?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so you ever heard of the blue screen of death?
Yeah, of course.
So there's a saying in software development, all code has bugs, especially that which is written by humans.
Okay.
So Zcash, despite peer review and multiple audits, had a critical bug like this that went undiscovered for over 2 years. in their case, it wasn't exploited because there's only half a dozen people in the world that are smart enough to understand the advanced math, apparently, or I don't know, some relative handful of people, and nobody got around to exploiting it. But these things happen. You can't prevent adversity, but you can control your response to it. And in this case, we rose to meet the challenge. So the salient point for the perspective of this exercise here today is to ignore that flat line. We know the explanation, it's a one-time thing. We understand what happened, fix it and move on. So now normal market operations are resuming. And so if you look at it in BTC terms, which is how many of the old hands in crypto look at things, rather than dollars, which can be deceptive, is that you have these wild pumps, usually on big volume. If you look at the chart of today as an example.
Which line is which again?
Okay, so the yellow is the BTC terms, and blue is dollar terms, and then those gray ones down at the bottom is reported volume.
The OGs look at it through
BTC the terms.
Okay.
Yeah, because it's like saying I'm 6 feet tall, but the length of a foot is 3% shorter this year because Jerome Powell at the Federal Reserve printed more inches than last year, and now a foot is only 11.7 inches or whatever. I mean, it's kind of absurd to have a measuring stick that changes in length, but when you use dollars, that's what you're doing. So with BTC, you can eliminate that.
Okay, I got you.
So you tend to have these violent upswings, which, as we know from the history of crypto, with the first 12 years of BTC to look at, that if you do an analysis, the top 10 days of the entire decade, if you were out of the market on the single best day of the year of those entire 10 years, you miss out on something like 88%, I think it was, of the upside. So there's a greater cost.
Wait, back the bus up.
Okay.
Because I think, don't blow by that, because I think this is important, what you just said. And to me, what just spoke to me, Crypto Whisperer, is what you just said reinforces the notion of hashtag hodl. Am I wrong? I mean, if you're telling me that if I'm trying to be clever and shift from BTC to cash or whatever, stable coin, or any coin to stable coin, and I'm just wanting to play that game, that's risky, because if you were out of the market, if you were on the USDC side, let's say, because these crashes are violent, but so too are you telling me the upsurge, the pumps are violent?
Yeah. So this is not the chart of BTC, but if we looked at it, it would show a broadly similar pattern, which is that you have these times, individual days or groups of days or weeks, where there's explosive movements as these assets climb an escalator on the way up as they broach the wall of worry, and then an elevator on the way down as they crash. And so
I love talking to you because you speak in pictures that I can understand. So I get it. Elevator. I mean, when immediately what came is Kennedy Airport. You go up this escalator, but then right in front of you, you see these bank of elevators where if you're like, oh shit, luggage, I can go back down. Except in the case of crypto, instead of stopping at the bag pickup, it goes 4 floors down.
you don't know on a pump, you don't know how high it's going to go. I mean, if anybody told me Doge was going to be $100 billion, I would have said they need to check in with their doctor to get their medication dosage checked, because that could never happen. And yet here we are. Like they can go up more. The market can remain irrational longer than you can remain solvent. And in the short term, markets are voting machines, but in the long term, there's weighing machines. And so trying to draw lines on charts and out FUD and FOMO the other guys and zip around. I know many people that are quite successful at that, but it's a highly specialized skill. And most blackjack players sitting at the table in the Vegas casinos lose money. The fact that there's a number of people that can be net winners of that doesn't negate the fact that structurally you're kind of set up to lose. And so on the acquisition side, dollar cost averaging and being patient is usually well rewarded. And having a bit of sales discipline to not be greedy and take some chips off the table on the sales side when you do get a pump, just gives you that flexibility. And so a very conservative dollar cost averaging strategy with allowing the FOMO buyers to pick off a bit of your stash. When people are greedy, you want to be fearful, and when others are fearful, you want to be greedy. And so if you can apply that, then you're on the right side of these. And so what I see when I look at this is, again, if we look at the yellow chart, is you have these violent upswings, usually as a result of awareness or some kind of catalyst, something that causes people to say, wow, I like it, let me buy. And there's a greater risk of being out than being in, fear of missing out. And they say, shut up and take my money and buy. And then it kind of settles down. But you notice it doesn't go down as much as where it was before. It kind of, yeah, right there. So you're higher, like you see there, you're higher than you were back in July. So even through that whole process, like on every pump, if you take some chips off the table, now you're sitting in cash and you go, wow, this thing is just 70% off versus 2 months ago.
You're not,
you know what I mean?
You're not against taking profits.
Oh no, I think you should. I mean, and also I really the hodl mentality, I think is contrary to the spirit of progress of what we need in Bitcoin, and certainly in EPIC. We'll never encourage people to hodl. In fact, I think spend is a great way to get the network to grow, because after all, there's money and there's currency. There's money and there's currency, and EPIC is as money as BTC based on having the same supply curve, but it's a better currency, and currency means that it needs to flow. It comes from current, from water in a maritime context. And so a currency needs to flow, or it's not a currency, it's just an inert lump. And then you get into comparing the merits of storing your wealth in a lump of gold versus a lump of data on a blockchain called BTC. And so it goes up and then settles down. People don't get that that dopamine hit of the latest shot in the arm. We don't do the breathless tweets thing and announcing pre-announcements of potential announcements later type of PT Barnum stuff. So in the absence of any direct catalyst, it tends to settle down, but it usually doesn't quite go to where it was before. And so you get these times where if you go to, like, let's say January to April, where in BTC terms, not so impressive, but look at the dollar price. And so, I mean, you had a 10-cent asset that goes up over $1 in 2 weeks. Of course, people are going to take some profits. And then the, what's it called? The one-off event of the value overflow incident. And here we are since then. So I think for people, how to understand the EPIC story is really just ignore the chart, unless you're going to try to be a day trader and sit there with your finger on the button and zip in and zip out. If you move, oh, that's in my side. You know, the little screen overlay thing was on top of the most salient part. Over on the right-hand side up at the top, market cap, 5.3 million. Number 1115 on the market cap rank. So let's look on Coingecko and see what other ones are on that 11th page. And let's see what the market puts $5 million of market value on, and how the actual utility of this, the potential long-term value supported by actual use
Are you
versus
gonna give me
some of
another
the
link?
other stuff. No, just pull up Coingecko
Okay,
and let's go to page 11.
bear with me. Okay.
I'll race you to it. I just walked back to my computer.
Yeah, you know what? This isn't my thing. You can find the link.
Okay, give me
I
one
know what I'm
sec.
good at, and I know what I suck at, and navigating charts is not my gift.
All right, so
what's your if you were going to say what message should we receive on the chart we were just looking at? I mean, where's my moon, man?
yeah, well, we are trying a brave path, which is to not do the normal shitcoin pumpery type stuff. And so when people ask when moon, we say that's usually not not what we're here for, and perhaps this isn't the right place for you. These layer one protocols, if we go to the link I just sent you, we can pick out some of those. Tokens need to be evaluated like shares in a startup. You own equity in the enterprise, in essence. Many times, most tokens are actually securities in the eyes of regulators, and certainly the SEC, depending on the facts and circumstances of their creation. But by it being a token, you're depending on the efforts of a specified group of people to drive the functionality, make it go, all that good stuff. But on a protocol layer, the layer ones, it's different. These are more akin to real estate that need to be looked at on a price per square foot basis, because if Ethereum, the value of Ether is not as a currency, it's as gas for computation in a world computer, a smart contract platform. And so the amount, the potential value, the value of the market cap of Ether is best looked at as, okay, well, how much computation can people run on that? And what will the market value that computation at? The value of a currency, a
Which
true
number
currency.
are you, by the way? It's driving me nuts. I can't find it.
1115.
Oh, 1115.
So maybe the next one.
Okay. Yeah. Cool.
So the answer of when moon is when individual asset owners, whether they own the EPIC coin or the ECR token or one of the other ones that are coming, when moon happens is when people get out of the mindset of passive holder to active participant, because that's really what we're doing here. And like you, as an unpaid contributor, volunteer, spending your time to educate others. Now, in this case, it has a direct financial benefit of boosting the value of your skin in the game, and you're being transparent about that. So am I. I'm a big holder. I continue to buy. I've never sold a coin, and I am also an unpaid volunteer, at least up until the present, for Epicenter DAO. And so if you look at the value of the layer one protocols as real estate.
I just want to insert myself in there.
Okay.
Because you referred to me as an unpaid volunteer. If we're going by that language, everyone should consider me an unpaid volunteer of Arrr, an unpaid volunteer of Monero.
Of course, yeah. That's what open source community projects are all about.
Right. Right. I just wanted that to be clear, because it's like, that's the last thing in the world I will ever freaking be, is a shill boy. I'm just telling you what I have done, and I'm being very transparent. And I can just see it. It's not if, it's when. Just because I'm talking more about you than others, again, I teed up this video by saying this was, starting ugly on Clubhouse, and we pivoted over here because Zoom works. Everyone keeps giving me shit about Zoom. Why aren't you over here? Why aren't you over there? And I'm like, because Zoom works. Sorry, yeah, but it's surveillance. These are, I don't care. I'm not here to try to, we're not speaking in riddles here. We're exploring cryptocurrency. So, all right. I'm sorry. I just wanted to drive that point home.
Yeah, no, and I think that's a great point. I think Epicenter is fortunate in that we have a much greater percentage of active participants to passive holders. A lot of coin projects have a lot of memes and focus on price. And like backseat, like kids in the backseat of a car, daddy, are we there yet? Like, and then 2 minutes later, are we there yet? When's that pump? When moon? Well, no, what have you done to get that moon that you want? What have you done to build a product or service or create a startup that leverages the unique capabilities of this chain? I mean, just to be transparent about my own interest, and if anybody out there is listening, I am excited to help entrepreneurs go from 0 to 1 at the very earliest stages of their dreaming process about how to build a business in the overall Epicenter ecosystem. Because whether it's a mining pool or a bridge or a service or some type of SaaS platform or whatever, there's so much opportunity here. And because all of the infrastructure and security stuff that you would normally have to protect your servers and worry about AWS clusters and all that type of stuff, all of that is done for you when you have the protocol layer there, and you just have to worry about building your startup. And of course, it drives the costs way down. So the Epicenter is really an engine for entrepreneurship at the grassroots level, and I help entrepreneurs to take that step and build businesses for themselves and plug them into other builders within the community.
And I'm going to insert myself and say that when he says that out loud, I can attest that he actually means it. He shared that with me last week, and it got me thinking. And I ended up having a conversation with really my best friend in life, other than my wife. I have to exclude, my wife, my best male friend. How about that? And he's sitting on a 100-seat call center, but because of COVID. Basically, it's a white elephant as far as human beings in there. Everybody went to be at-home agents, which is fine, which is cool. But there's 100 computers sitting there, and I'm just sitting here thinking, when I was hearing about the mining and that you don't have to have ASICs to be able to mine, I'm like, I reached out to Max and I'm like, am I thinking about this right? But if there was like 100 computers just sitting there, would that, is there a there? And it was like, all of a sudden everything went into action. And now Max and his team is talking to my buddy, and they're figuring it out. And there's a few shekels that have to go into doing it right. And Max stepped up and said, I'll help you be a pilot. This is great entrepreneurial spirit. Hell, you could develop this as a model, as a SaaS product that could be taken to every call center on the planet who has excess capacity always. And so there you go. That's leveraging their blockchain for the financial benefit of somebody thinking outside the box. And to me, that's what's cool. Again, if I seem like this epic cash fanboy, it's just because all of it's like one simple question leads to action. It's not just, write a white paper. That'd be cool. No, it was like, let's get them on the line. Let's talk it through. Let me understand what their capacity is. Let me understand what the equipment is, and let me pull in 3 people that are part of the community. And I mean, it's like, my goodness. Can you imagine if you were mining Bitcoin with 100 computers way back in the day when Bitcoin was at 40 cents?
Yeah, so, and I think not just the mining itself, but also the opportunity to build an income stream denominated in that currency, because from what I understand about your friend's business is that he, in addition to having that facility, also operates a SaaS platform, software as a service, for call center providers. And I believe he shared with me that the average CPU load is about 10%. And so the idea there is, okay, if the page loads in 0.37 seconds rather than 0.34, the agent's not going to notice. There's no incremental cost. But even that tiny drip feed of coin that is earned by helping the network perform the computation can really change the numbers as far as CapEx and OpEx at the margin, not just today, but when you look at the fact that somebody that was doing that calculus in their mind to contribute their resources to mine at 1 cent a year ago, and if they were foresighted enough not to sell, as of recently, those coins were as much as $1. Okay, a penny today is $1 tomorrow. Those are some numbers that every business can get behind. And so now he's just not another Me Too software provider. He's got something unique out in the market that actually is defensible in terms of IP to create a moat around on top of this open source protocol. And just as Uber could only be built atop the internet itself and didn't have to go and recreate all that underlying infrastructure, it's the same thing here. There's a beautiful story of a young man who used to install Windows in the UK, an immigrant from Eastern Europe, and he taught himself to code Python and work with the EPIC blockchain nights and weekends, and was mining, of course, and got involved with the community. And after a while, he had enough of the pieces of the puzzle to say, you know what, it's not worth my time to go and show up at that job anymore. I have a few nickels to rub together, and I believe in myself, and I have a few others to help out. I have this vision to build out this business, and that's what he's doing. And so plugging your friend in to guys like him and others like him, you get into a 1 + 1 = not 2, not 11, but 111 type of situation.
Yeah, absolutely. And and I'm just going to make the polite request now because I am such a big TCV fan. I am 100% confident that EPIC is not the selection, and because otherwise, I think after all of the time that I've spoken with you, that there may have been some kind of a tell. But I really do hope, Max, that you can reach out to them. Or they reach out to you, because everything that I have heard in the spirit of I don't know shit, but I'm learning, is like, to me, if I'm looking at a viable long-term project that has legs, you're checking all the boxes. So I hope at least that conversation happens versus a one sentence, they use Mimblewimble, so we're not going to consider it. I hope we break through that. I just hope, so I'm going to challenge you that I think you need to reach out to them if you haven't. And also, I know that they're a big fan of BPSAA. Are you going to apply to be a member of that, or are you already a member of that?
I'm not at liberty to speak about the specifics of the various threads of our engagement with the pirate chain community and the various components of it, like BPSAA. But let's just say that the Venn diagram of what pirate believes in and what TCV believes in and what we believe in is more like a circle than an overlapping Pareto chart or whatever, Venn diagram, that's what I'm looking for. It's almost completely aligned. The minor disagreements about, okay, ZK snarks versus crypto note versus stealth addresses versus Mimblewimble or whatever, reasonable people can disagree about things, especially if they're minor details in the grand scheme of things. We believe in scarcity, trustlessness, censorship resistance, immutability, individual self-sovereignty, all that good stuff. And so the short answer is yes, we, BPSA and others like that are very interesting, and I would welcome anyone to reach out and ping me, and I can get you connected to whoever for whatever. I can say that we have had no contact that I'm aware of with the TCV people, and I would be happy to put together a bit of information on why I think that the perspective of Mimblewimble being somehow inferior to those other technologies is ill-informed, misinformed, underinformed, whatever, but facts are facts, and I'm happy to prepare those and let the chips fall where they are or where they may.
When I went to bpsaa.com, it seems to me like that's just a simple application process. So maybe that can be the first step for you and your team to do that. Like I said, I just want to unite the tribes, the smart people that I'm talking to that I really respect. And that was a very good answer, by the way. The Venn diagram, the Overton window, that's what's resonating with me. That's why I say, man, I don't look at it as either or. I look at it as both and. And, to be cliche, we are all in this together. And I think everybody has the same end game in mind. And that is, our own financial privacy.
It's a blue ocean, and it's day one. And I think that I've mentioned this before. I don't call assets like EPIC, Arrr, XMR, and I don't consider those privacy coins. I consider BTC, ETH, and all the others surveillance coins. So you really have to ask yourself, just as in an age of information, ignorance is the choice. If you're consciously knowing and fully well aware that you're using a surveillance blockchain, okay, is that a bug or a feature? Is that a benefit or a drawback? Is it a good thing? I think if we're talking about our public servants and the black hole of money that goes into white elephants and brother-in-law with construction contracts, and you need a license from this guy to run your business over here. We're fortunate to live in America where things, at least the corruption is structural rather than in your face. But in a lot of places, it's not like that. And so I think our public servants should have full transparency in their money. Any organization, most business organizations have to share data with their various stakeholders. And there's this idea of not shareholder capitalism, but stakeholder capitalism. And as all that gets figured out, fully surveillance-enabled blockchains where everything can be seen by everyone theoretically, and the people who at the highest echelons of power and control can use those levers to influence behavior at a societal level. I mean, if you're an elite technocrat globalist, then that sounds fantastic. And no wonder they're getting behind BTC finally. But if you want fungible money that works for you, and you can have your cake and eat it too with something like an EPIC that functions not just as a money, but also as a currency, which BTC cannot at a $62 transfer fee, which is what it hit in March. So if you want surveillance and you want people to be able to block your transactions, and you want to have two-tier markets of tainted coins and clean coins, and how tainted are they, more power to you. Use all that stuff. But if you just want to click a button and send a payment to anyone in the world, anywhere, EPIC and Monero and Pirate Chain and basically any blockchain that has full confidentiality at the protocol layer gives you that that fungibility. And then beyond that, okay, this type of technology is better than the other one. All right, well, if you're a CIA operative and you want to hide your activities from the other guys, then sure, geek out on Lelantis versus Sapling and Sprout and Halo. More power to you. But if you just don't want everyone to know how often you eat at McDonald's, particularly your health insurer, then you have that box covered by something that gives you the confidentiality. So yeah, I know that's a lot. I'll wrap it there.
No, that's great. I mean, there was a wonderful soundbite or two in that last 2 or 3 minutes. One thing somebody said in the chat was that this man sounds genuine, and I wish he truly is.
I think Quaalude Charlie has it right. He's confident and handsome.
Yeah, he is. Quaalude Charlie is always confident and handsome. But
Hit me up, Charlie.
World of Bliss. I will tell you that I met with Max
Quaalude Charlie,
and he is he's absolutely gifted and handsome. Oh wait, we're talking about Quaalude Charlie. No,
well, you brought the Quaaludes when we met, so like who knows? Maybe Charlie is my alter ego.
There you go. Yeah. Because you know, that's what I do. I'm a purveyor of anything that'll addict you.
Well, they haven't met.
It's all about crypto for me.
Well, they haven't manufactured them since the 70s, and it did look like quite an antiquated pill bottle you had with you. No, actually, I find crypto to be quite addictive, and one of those happy occasions when it's a good addiction to have. The opportunity to take a, let's say, a normal human level type of scale of wealth and turn that into something explosively greater by orders of magnitude really doesn't exist in other industries. I built a business for 20 years, and it's a grind. You have to do a lot of revenue to end up with $1 in your pocket after the various fees and costs and gotchas and taxes and insurance and everything you need to pay. And here, $100 gets you 10 grand if you catch 100x at the right time. And everybody in America anyway, can afford enough to own a single EPIC. And so if there's only 11.6 million EPIC, that's the number. And there's only ever going to be 21 million for 8 billion people. In 7 years at the singularity, there will only be 210 per day created for those 8 billion people against the supply at that point of 20 million. You can't reach into your pocket and find 30 cents, 50 cents to buy one. I mean, today BTC is too expensive for mere mortals to buy a full one because they're 50 grand. But that wasn't the case early on when they were $1 or 10 or whatever price. And so here, I think even just defensively or as a learning exercise, why not take the 20, 30, 40, however many minutes it takes you, depending on your level of technical acumen, to get started mining. Don't spend any money and mine your way to that one coin. And maybe in time, like the gentleman that I mentioned, who was able to upgrade his career path from dead-end job to upwardly mobile startup entrepreneur, maybe we can foster entrepreneurship with people that are hearing this now, and then they'll become independently wealthy and can have complete control over how they spend their time. I've done the math in my head many times here, and I think that we can create 1,000 millionaires with EPIC.
How would someone mine? That's one thing that, I mean, I have a video down below, everyone. If you go to the Uncle Vigilante channel, if you're listening to this on some other platform, or if you use this at all,
it's really easy.
If you go to the Uncle Vigilante channel, and it's right there in front of your face, it just says, why Uncle V likes EPIC Cash and how do you buy it? I think it's
just EPIC miners on Telegram. I'm putting the link in the YouTube chat right now.
Okay, perfect.
And there's in that channel, there's about 500 currently, maybe a little more, but it's super friendly. Everybody's a volunteer. People are there because they want to, and they have a giving spirit. They want to help others and spread this gift. And so there's people there 24/7 willing to help, and we speak over a dozen languages. And so there's no stupid questions, only stupid people who don't ask those questions out of fear. And so there's literally zero barrier to entry for participation. If you want to mine, you do need a computer because we don't have the mobile mining out yet. Work continues apace, and that's one of the big, huge things on our roadmap that we're not talking a lot about yet, but should be a significant catalyst because there will be 5.2 billion mobile devices that will be able to mine through an algorithm variant called random ARM that basically tweaks the random X algorithm that we use in the CPU slice of our consensus mechanism for 60% of blocks. 38% go to GPUs and 2% go to ASIC. So the random ARM algorithm essentially makes it so that if you have a server chip, you'd be better off using that server chip on the right algorithm rather than trying to fool it and spin up an emulator for 1,000 cell phones or something, because you can create centralization problems if you don't design things right. EPIC is fairly unique in that it has a multi-algorithm structure that can have essentially as many algorithms as we want in there. And so if you can mine, you should mine, and it'll definitely take you under an hour. And we're working on making that even quicker. And if you simply just want to get started, just pop in, install a Vite wallet is the easiest way on the Play Store or App Store.
No,
VITE.
Okay, Vite. I wanted to be so VITE exchange is what you would search.
On the App Store, it's called Vite Wallet, VITE.
Okay.
And so the point that I'm trying to make is that if you install a wallet and say, hey guys, I'm learning about EPIC, but I'm 12 years old and I don't have a nickel to my name, but I'd like to get started, somebody will send you a bit of coin to get started. There's also a website. It's fairly basic. It's just a working proof of concept that kind of took on a life of its own. So please forgive the ugly graphic design. But epicfundme.com is another great example of a use case for this type of tech. A lot of people are facing censorship and cancel culture from platforms such as Patreon. If they disagree with your politics, they'll turn off your ability to fund your work. And YouTube, of course, is famous for demonetization and deplatforming and all that stuff. And so if you're a content creator and you want to raise support from your audience, you can take donations directly with P2P, no middleman. It's essentially a directory to enable people to pay you. And so whether you're a content creator, a cause, a charity, there was a guy that was exiled from Myanmar and he wanted to raise money for Burmese independence. I mean, pretty much anything that you can think of. I mean, within reason, please no ethnic cleansing fundraising on there, but you know what I mean. And stuff like that. It's really a bottom-up, emergent, let 1,000 flowers bloom type of thing, rather than a top-down or a command and control or monolithic or hierarchical. It's kind of an ask forgiveness rather than permission. Truly anarcho-capitalist end of the spectrum in terms of how things are set up.
I hope everybody is starting to get why I have continued these conversations. I am going to challenge you, Max, for you and your team to please provide me with a succinct video on how to get started mining, and I'll post that too, because I'd like to be able to let people know how to buy it, how to buy EPIC Cash, but also how to mine it, because I think that's awesome. That's what that. You know, I've never heard anybody say that, hey, don't invest a penny necessarily. If you want to get started mining, we'll help you do it. And I think what you said, you know, if you have the Vite wallet, you know, if it takes some EPIC to start mining, I
No,
guess.
it doesn't. No, I'm just
Okay.
saying if you don't have a computer, like if you say all I have is a mobile app or
Oh,
all I have is a cell phone, then today you can't mine. But that doesn't need to be a reason why not, because just I mean, Brock Pierce in the early days of BTC used to load USB sticks with wallets and sprinkle them in parking lots of, I think it was South by Southwest or Burning Man or something like that. And
wow.
so you have to spread the network effects because nobody wants a currency that nobody wants. And so it's a bit of an
So,
enlightened
is it
self-interest to,
possible?
yeah.
Is it possible for there to be some kind of you know, Uncle V uh, distribution where I could say, if you reached out somewhere in Telegram and said Uncle V sent me, that maybe you'd give him, a few Epic Cash, or
Yeah,
I'm
there's probably a couple dozen distributors. So what we can do is the process is just you create a profile on epicfundme.com so that there's some transparency around the wallet. Just as a good like hygiene thing for best practices for these type of things.
yep.
So you set up an Epic Fund Me profile, link it to your Vite account on that blockchain, and then we'll pass the link around internally. I'll certainly donate some. You can kick in a few. I know others will too. And then let's say you raise 100 coins or whatever, and give one per person out. Or whatever, it's up to you. So
I want to figure it out so I don't have to manage it. I just honestly, I just am so busy with.
appoint someone from your community. Just find somebody who wants to volunteer. And like anything monolithic and centralized can't scale. And so instead of like a single giveaway program, that would be a bottleneck. Just the desire is there, the resources are there. The devil's in the details of the process mechanics. So maybe somebody from the audience.
Yeah. So if
Yeah.
anybody's out there, like someone to lean in, as I say, and help me figure this out. If you want to be the ball on this, God bless America. Uncle V just wants to, and I would open it up to any of these, any of the companies that I'm speaking to. I mean, if really it's just exposure and you want people to get wallets downloaded, and let's give them a shekel or two, and
Yeah,
so
one thing I can share to make that much easier. It's not going to come online till July, but there's a great service out of Germany called CoinKit that you should refer to your other projects. We've worked with the developer for some time, and he's really good. But essentially, CoinKit enables you to use Discord, Telegram, and Twitter as a wallet interface. And so you'll be able to send Epic through those platforms where they don't even need to set up the wallet. They'll be able to just do it through Telegram. So that'll be really cool. We usually don't like to talk about stuff that's coming versus what's already there, because
right.
there's a lot of hot air, vaporware BS here. And just long term, we think strategically it's better to be underestimated and underappreciated, and walk softly and carry a ginormous stick that nobody can see we have.
Hey, I want to respond to Israel Adams. I know it's probably on your previous video, but would you mind a quick path for buying Epic? Great question, and it's already right there. It's probably a few videos down, but it does say how to buy Epic in the title, and it is it's terrific. It'll walk you right through it. So good question. All right, and that's found on the Uncle Vigilante channel on YouTube. All right, man. I know that we are at 2:00, and I told my wife I was going to get off at 2:00. So I'm going to uphold my end of the bargain there. But you have been awesome. And look, this was your movie. So how do you want to end it?
Just one final point. You said talking with other companies. So just to make clear, Epicenter is not a company, and Epic Cash certainly can't be, because it's just free software.
Right.
Epicenter is about to become a DAO as soon as we launch the ECR token. But we strike that as a point of distinction that for censorship resistance, that if we had a company, then it could be censored and it would become problematic for the ongoing operation of things. So there is no company and there is no actual team by design, by which we mean everybody can be a part of the team. Everyone can participate and help in some way. And if you own even a single fraction of a coin, then welcome to the family. And what are you waiting for? Let's get started. So if you like what you heard here today, please join us at EPIC Cash on Telegram. And welcome to the rabbit hole. There's a lot to unpack, but we have a long-term vision, and we'll be here through this market cycle and the next one and the next one. We have a lot to build. Until every single person on the planet is plugged in and using this as money, our work is not yet done.
I love that, as I call it, a big, hairy-ass goal, a BHAG. Everybody on the planet using EPIC Cash. I love it. Okay. Hey, listen, thank you. And for all you fathers out there, happy Father's Day. Good job. Good job. I know what it took to get there, my friend. So, but it sure was fun. All right, guys.